Hello, and welcome to the English with Colin Podcast, a podcast for English language learners. My name's Colin, I'm an English teacher in Tokyo, and if you're looking to improve your English skills and gain more confidence in your ability to communicate in English, you've come to the right place. In these episodes, I'll provide you with short conversations in English that cover a range of topics, from everyday situations to more specialised subjects. These conversations are designed to help you practice your listening skills and pick up new vocabulary and grammar along the way. Regular listening practice is key to improving your English, and I hope this podcast will become a valuable resource for you on your language learning journey. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. And remember, the more you listen, the more you'll learn. This is episode 35, and the topic for today is Culture Shock Part 2, Navigating the Unknown in Japan. Hello, Sue.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So in the last episode, we talked about culture shock. We covered things like the language barrier and bowing, even sort of social hierarchy, those kind of things. But it's such a big topic, culture shock, that I think it's worth talking a little bit more about it. Let's start with work culture. One of the things that people might know about Japan, or maybe not, is the working hours can be very, very long. There's this expectation that you don't just do the 9 to 5 and then finish work and go home. For a lot of people, if you work in an office type of job, you're going to be working not just after 5, but for several hours after 5. And it's not uncommon to hear about people working until the last train.
No, in fact, it is very common. Also, I think it's not only leaving late, it is expected to be there 15 minutes before time starts.
Yeah. So not just kind of you start at 9 and you arrive at 9. It's like, no, you arrive early so that you're kind of ready to start. You're already finished settling in and you're at your desk and you're ready to start and be productive. So yeah, working until the last train, and even sleeping at the office.
Well, many people don't make it to the last train, so that's where you get these capsule hotels.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the origin or the purpose. Was that the kind of the market for the capsule hotels, the people who didn't quite make the last train and needed somewhere to sleep for cheap?
Yes, and then get ready in the morning and look presentable.
Yeah.
To go to work the next day, because you can see these big capsule hotels in Shinjuku, and they have a pass, like a monthly pass or something like that.
Yeah, a monthly pass, or maybe a number of tickets.
Yeah.
For so you might buy 30 nights in a bulk, and it can be very, very cheap once you buy like a bulk ticket of these nights at a capsule hotel. The per night price becomes very, very cheap. So yeah, there's definitely a whole culture surrounding this. So this kind of loyalty, this kind of dedication to your company, and I think it has an impact on families. It must have an impact on families when, usually dad is not getting home to see the family. And I've heard from many of my students, I ask them, what do your parents do? And they don't know what their dad does.
He just goes very early and comes very late.
Yeah. Like they might see him at the weekends. And it's not uncommon for people to Monday to Friday live in a different city.
Yes.
You know, so usually the husband in Japan will work Monday to Friday, maybe in Tokyo, and then at the weekend come back to wherever the family lives, which I think seems to work out pretty well for everyone. I think many of the wives are quite pleased that they don't need to make their husband's lunch or dinner Monday to Friday. So yeah, very, very different structures there. And the people you work with, that's people that you spend most of your time with.
Yes, because everyone is so busy and leaving the office is not necessarily the same for everyone. Working days
the time you finish work is not, depending, again, you could be working 1 hour overtime, you could be working 3 hours of overtime. So you can't really rely on other people finishing at a set time.
Also, I think days off are not necessarily weekends for everyone.
That's true.
So yeah, the kind of your friends will be busy when you're free.
Mm-hmm.
So your friends really are the ones that are available at the time. And those people are the ones that you work with because you know their time's off. Like, okay, we can leave now.
Yeah, that's true. And another thing to talk about is public transportation. We've talked about this before, but if you're from a country that doesn't really use public transport, which, if you're from, say, a small city in America, it's quite possible that you don't use public transport, don't use trains, don't really use buses. You drive everywhere. So coming to especially big cities, Tokyo, Osaka, public transport is essential. And actually owning a car in the city can be an inconvenience and very expensive.
Very expensive, yes. And a lot of houses in the city center, they don't really have space for parking.
That's right. So you need to, and one of the rules about having a car in Japan is that you can show that you have a place to park it.
That is true. When we got our car, we had to prove that we had a place to park it, and we had to show exactly the spot we would park
exactly on a satellite map.
Yes.
The guy pulled out a satellite map, Google satellite map, and said, right, yes, that is the spot. That is where we park our car. So yeah, getting used to using public transport can be, especially such a complex network as Tokyo with the underground trains, the overground trains, the metros, the different lines and whatever. Related to that, I guess, is personal space, crowdedness, especially in Tokyo. But the cities are very, very densely populated. There's a lot of people living in a small area. And again, if you're used to maybe living in a house, in a detached house, or you're used to just having a garden, those kind of things. And then suddenly you're in an apartment block that's, 15 stories high, and you've got, 40 square meters of space to live in. But even outside day-to-day life, the trains are busy, the streets are busy. Restaurants and bars have less space than you might be used to in your home country. So going to a little bar or an izakaya or something and seeing how tightly packed the tables are, you're not really having a lot of space because these businesses have to make money. And the more people they can get sitting in there, even if it's very tight, even if it's very cramped, that's what they're going to choose to do. How did you feel coming here with the how densely populated the city was?
Well, I cried once on the train because it was very hot. It was not summer. It was the end of summer. It was already September. But it was so hot, and I just arrived, so I wasn't used to the heat. So it really,
the humidity.
Yeah, the humidity. So that was a shock for my body. And arriving, it took a long. I had to do a lot of stuff, right? I had to move around, use the public transport, learning. At the time, I didn't have a phone, so you need to pay more attention. I couldn't learn our station at the point. It was very long. It's 4 kanji long.
Yeah, it's a long name for a train station.
Yeah, the first time I was like, I'm not going to learn that. But I was so tired. It was so hot. My legs were just so tired. And I thought the train's going to come and I'm just going to sit and there's going to be aircon and I'm going to be fine. And as the train pulled in, it's packed.
It's absolutely packed. And you didn't cry, you screamed.
I said, no.
You shouted, no. Really loudly. But yeah, I mean, for context, you had just been to look around your new university and we had also been to IKEA.
Yeah.
So we'd done a lot of walking in the heat. And yeah, you really wanted to sit down. So yeah, it can be overwhelming, especially, I guess, as you said, in the early days when you're having difficulty moving around, you're having difficulty finding your way to places. You're not sure how things work. Every time you get on the train, it's an adventure. Like, where do I go? Where do I change? Do I have to? What exit do I take from the station? You know, somewhere like Shinjuku Station, there's so many different exits.
Yeah.
You know, they've got like A, B, C, D, E exits, but there's exits like E35.
Yes.
You know, things like that. That's how many exits they've got, you know. And it's, yeah, it can be a lot. Yeah, I mean, a big one to mention, and it's something that's very avoidable if you want to avoid it, but it is onsen. Onsen's a culture shock for a lot of people, unless you're maybe coming from a Scandinavian country, perhaps, that has a sort of sauna-based kind of culture. I'm not sure. But yeah, coming from the UK, the idea of sharing a bath with other people, and these are big baths, these are not small baths, these are big kind of communal bathing hot springs, that can be a little bit of a shock. And some people just refuse. Some people just refuse to do it. Once you do it for the first time, you realize, oh, it's actually completely normal. And it's actually really nice. It's very pleasant.
Yes. No, the thing is, most onsen will have rules. The rules very clear to you. They will tell you what to do and what not to do. But yeah, just going down to the baths and just thinking about like, okay, yes, there's people.
Yeah.
But everyone is so comfortable that I think they make it comfortable for you, even though when you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, these people have been doing it their whole lives. It's so normal for them. So yeah, the way that other people are behaving, it's a relaxing experience for them, and they're completely relaxed, and they don't care who you are or what, where you're from. So yeah, the first time it can be quite a shock, but yeah, it's a nice thing to do, especially in the winter when it's cold. And yeah, you just, in the evening, maybe if you're staying at a ryokan or something, you get a nice bath and a nice meal. And yeah, it's a great way to relax. The last thing I want to talk about, it's not really a shock as such, but it's certainly a difference. And it's how seasonal the food is in Japan. In the UK, we have a little bit of seasonality in our foods, like some fruits, for example. There's a strawberry season. And, maybe there's certain times of year when certain potatoes are available or whatever. But it's more clear in Japan about, when fruits and vegetables are in season. Because, for example, what are they called? In Japanese, they call them mikan, but they are kind of like little mandarin or nectarine, not nectarine, clementine, or those kind of little, little oranges, basically. They are very difficult to get all year round. You can get them around about December. So November, December, they become available. And they're very connected with that period, that winter period. That's kind of the time that you see them.
The same happens with oranges. It's very difficult to get an
orange.
Oh,
yeah, like a full-size orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
December, maybe that month you can see them.
But for me, in the UK, you can get those kind of fruits all year. Because a lot of the fruit is imported. And Japan imports a lot of fruit as well. But yes, those kind of things, very, very seasonal. And that is kind of a big difference.
Peaches, summer.
Peaches.
We have peaches now.
Yeah.
And the grapes are coming out.
Yes. No, yeah, the peach, yes, there was very expensive peaches in the supermarket yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that once you kind of learn the seasons and you can enjoy this kind of, fruits and vegetables that are in season, this is the time to have them at their best. And, many of them will be locally produced. It's nice, but it does take time to kind of learn about these seasons. Even fish, certain fish will be in season. We've just passed Eel Day.
Oh,
it's just passed. I think it's just passed, and that is, I think it's more of a marketing thing than actually the eel are in season. But yeah, it's one day in the year where people go crazy eating eel, and we went to get some fish at our local fish supermarket a few years ago, and it happened to be Eel Day, and it was. We were early. We arrived early. We didn't know it was Eel Day, and there was queues of traffic.
Yes.
And there was about 10 guys directing traffic, and this was early, like 9 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, then we realized, it's Eel Day, and everybody is just buying eel.
We had to join in, and it was delicious.
Yeah. Well, when in Rome.
Absolutely.
When in Rome. So yeah, I think in the next episode, I'd like to talk about how you can overcome culture shock. I think that could be an interesting thing to talk about. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the English with Colin podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to the conversation and found it helpful in your language learning journey. Remember, the key to mastering a language is regular practice. So make sure you listen to our podcast regularly and keep honing your listening skills. We appreciate your support and feedback. So if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for future topics, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. You can find our contact information in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to joining you again next time for another conversation in English. Until then, keep practicing and take care.